Hey there, fellow adventurers! Get ready to meet your new favorite companion, the ZOE backpack sewing pattern. This absolute gem goes beyond your typical backpack and is a true jack-of-all-trades that'll accompany you from the gym to the beach and everywhere in between. Our pattern is a game changer, offering you not just a backpack, but a whole lot more. We've packed it with 5 incredible features that you can mix and match to perfectly suit your needs and preferences. And the best part? All these fantastic features are available in 3 different sizes: small, medium, and large. Whether you prefer a compact companion or a roomy storage solution, we've got you covered. Take the multifunctional pocket piece and let's start by folding the bottom edge down by about 1 centimeter to the wrong side. Then, fold the top edge 2 times by 1 centimeter each to create a nice double-folded edge. Pin it in place, and when you're ready, top stitch the top edge at around 0.8 centimeters. Let's proceed with placing the pocket onto the front lining piece, making sure the wrong side of the pocket is facing the right side of the lining. Line it up between the notches and pin in place. Top stitch the sides and bottom of the pocket using a 0.1 centimeters seam allowance on the bottom and 0.5 centimeters seam allowance on the sides. Let's move on to creating the pocket sections. Take a look at the pattern markings and use them to trace the separating lines onto the fabric. Once you're done, top stitch those lines to create the pocket sections. Coming up, we're going to sew the zipper pocket. Grab your top lining piece, bottom lining piece, and 1 zipper. Place the zipper on top of the bottom lining piece, making sure the right sides are facing each other. Align one long edge of the zipper with the top edge of the fabric and pin the zipper in place. Make sure that the zipper is fully open and that the teeth of the zipper are facing the lining. Attach a zipper foot to your sewing machine. Sew the zipper in place using a 1 centimeter seam allowance. Make sure to remove the pins as you sew. From the wrong side of the lining, take the bottom edge of the pocket bag and align it with the raw bottom edge of the top lining and zipper. Pin in place and sew using a 1 centimeter seam allowance. Let's now focus on attaching pocket 2 to the bottom lining piece. Place pocket 2 on top of the bottom lining piece with the right sides together and align the top edge. Make sure that the zipper is sandwiched in between the 2 layers. From the right side of the pocket, take the bottom edge of the pocket bag and align it with the raw bottom edge of the top lining and zipper. Pin in place and sew the pocket edge using a 1 centimeter seam allowance. Let's finish up this pocket. First, make sure the zipper is closed, and then give everything a good press with an iron to make sure it looks neat and tidy. Afterwards, it's time to top stitch the side edges at 0.5 centimeters. Be careful to catch the pocket bag and zipper in the seam as well. Once you've sewn the sides, you can use a pair of scissors to cut off any excess zipper. Let's dive into attaching the bottom lining piece to the front and back lining piece. Take the bottom lining piece and align one long edge with the bottom of the back lining piece, making sure the right sides are facing each other. Use pins to hold everything in place, then sew the 2 pieces together using a 1 centimeter seam allowance. Once you've sewn the pieces together, press the seam towards the bottom piece. Repeat with the bottom of the front lining piece. Press the seams open and then towards the bottom. Next up, we're ready to attach the side panel lining pieces to the front and back lining piece. Take the side panel lining pieces and align the long edges with the sides of the front lining piece, making sure that the right sides are facing each other. Use pins to hold everything in place, making sure to stop the seam 1 centimeter before the bottom, right on the seam between the front lining piece and bottom piece. Now let's attach it to the back piece, the same way we did on the front piece. Sew in place using a 1 centimeter seam allowance. Let's proceed to make some small snips on the seam allowance where the 2 seams meet. Take your scissors and carefully cut small snips, taking care not to cut through the seam itself. Upcoming, create the box bottom of your lining. Start by folding the fabric at each bottom side so that the cut edges meet and the right sides of the fabric are together. Use pins to hold the edges in place and make sure everything is aligned properly. Following, sew a straight stitch along the pinned edges, making sure to backstitch at the beginning and end of each seam. Cut the corners narrow. Your lining is now complete. Grab your top front and bottom front pieces, zipper and pocket 1 lining piece, and just like we did on the lining, we're going to sew the front pocket. Align 1 long edge of the zipper with the top edge of the bottom front piece and pin the zipper in place. Make sure that the zipper is fully open and that the teeth of the zipper are facing the fabric. Attach a zipper foot to your sewing machine. Sew the zipper in place using a 1 centimeter seam allowance. Make sure to remove the pins as you sew. Let's continue with attaching pocket 1 to the bottom front piece. Place pocket 1 on top of the bottom front piece with the right sides together and align the top edge. Make sure that the zipper is sandwiched in between the 2 layers. When everything is lined up nicely, go ahead and sew the pocket and the fabric together at 1 centimeter. Once you've finished sewing, flip the pocket bag to the right side and press the seam along the zipper. We move on to attaching the top front piece. Take the piece and align the bottom edge with the other side of the zipper, making sure that the right sides are facing each other. Once everything is lined up nicely, sew in place using a 1 centimeter seam allowance. From the right side of the lining, take the bottom edge of the pocket bag and align it with the raw bottom edge of the top front piece and zipper. Pin in place and sew using a 1 centimeter seam allowance. Press the zipper and seams with an iron. Now let's advance on folding the bottom of the top front piece to hide the zipper. Using the notches as a guide, fold the bottom of the fabric by 2 centimeters. This will ensure that the zipper is hidden nicely. Next, sew a top stitch along the folded edge at 2 centimeters from the edge. As you sew, make sure to catch both the pocket bag and the edge of the zipper in the seam. This will secure everything in place and create a clean, finished look. I cheated and sewn the top stitch from the wrong side, overlapping the seam between the lining and top front piece. Let's finish up this pocket. First, make sure the zipper is closed, and then give everything a good press with an iron to make sure it looks neat and tidy. Next, it's time to top stitch the side edges at 0.5 centimeters. Be careful to catch the pocket bag and zipper in the seam as well. Once you've sewn the sides, you can use a pair of scissors to cut off any excess zipper. Take the bottom piece of fabric and align it with the bottom piece of felt, wrong sides together. Make sure to match the edges and pin them securely in place. Next, sew a top stitch all over the edges, using a 0.5 centimeters seam allowance. This will provide stability and reinforcement to the bottom of the backpack, making it more durable. Take the bottom piece and align one long edge with the bottom of the front piece, making sure the right sides are facing each other. Use pins to hold everything in place. Repeat with the back piece. Then sew the two pieces together using a 1 centimeter seam allowance. Once you've sewn the pieces together, press the seam towards the bottom piece. Now, let's tackle the side pockets. Keep in mind that these pockets are optional, so if you don't want them, you can totally skip this part. However, if you do want them, here's how to proceed. Double fold the top part of the pockets towards the wrong side, folding it first by 1 centimeter and then another 1 centimeter. Press the folded edge with an iron to keep it in place. Next, sew a top stitch at 0.8 centimeters from the folded edge. I modified the pattern later, so don't mind the measurements you see in the video. Now, let's create pleats on the bottom of the fabric. Starting from the center and moving towards the second notch, fold the fabric to create pleats. Pin the pleats in place to secure them. Once you've pinned the pleats, sew them at 0.5 centimeters from the edge. This will ensure that the pleats are securely held in place. Time to add the elastic to the elastic channel you just created. Cut a piece of elastic according to the size indicated in the measuring table. Using a pin, carefully insert the elastic into the elastic channel. Once the elastic is inserted, sew a top stitch on both sides, approximately 0.5 centimeters from the edge. This will secure the elastic in place and prevent it from slipping or shifting. Take the pocket and place it on top of the front panel piece, making sure the right side of the pocket is facing the right side of the front panel. Align the top edge and sides of the pocket with the front piece. Make sure to stop the seam 1 centimeter before the bottom, right on the seam between the front piece and bottom piece. Sew using a 0.5 centimeters seam allowance. Repeat with the back piece. Next up, it's time to attach the side panels pieces to the front and back piece. Take the side panel pieces and align the long edges with the sides of the front and back piece, making sure that the right sides are facing each other. Use pins to hold everything in place, then sew the two pieces together using a 1 centimeter seam allowance. Make sure to stop the seam 1 centimeter before the bottom, right on the seam between the front piece and bottom piece. Coming next, it's time to make some small snips on the seam allowance where the two seams meet. Take your scissors and carefully cut small snips, taking care not to cut through the seam itself. Let's focus on the loop pieces. Start by folding each long edge inwards by 1 centimeter. Sew a top stitch at 0.8 centimeters from the folded edges to keep them secured. Next, fold the loop in half widthwise, matching the raw edges together. Use pins to hold the raw edges in place. Take the loop piece and insert it between the bottom and side pocket free edge, matching the notches. Use pins to hold all the edges in place and make sure everything is aligned properly. Sew in place using a 1 centimeter seam allowance. Let's shift our attention to the handle piece. Start by folding it lengthwise, making sure the right sides are together. Sew along the long edges using a 1 centimeter seam allowance. This will create a tube. Once you've sewn the edges, turn the handle right side out. You can use a turning tool or a safety pin to help you with this step. After turning it, give the handle a good press with an iron to make it nice and neat. Now, fold the free edges of the handle 1 centimeter inwards and top stitch at 0.1 centimeters to close the tube. This will secure the folded edges in place. For added reinforcement, let's cut a small piece of felt and pin it in place on the wrong side of the back panel. Make sure to match it with the handle and snap locations. You don't need to sew it, just use pins to hold it securely. Turning our focus to attach the handle to the back panel. From the right side of the back panel, match the ends of the handle with the markings on the back panel pattern. Once everything is aligned, sew the handle in place using a top stitch. Using a snap fastener, carefully follow the markings from the pattern to determine where to place the snap. Make sure to align the snap correctly to ensure a secure fit. When attaching the snap, it's important to press the stud on the back panel piece. We will attach the top snap later on the flap. Now, it's time to insert the lining inside the backpack. Place the lining fabric inside the backpack, making sure the wrong side of the lining is facing the wrong side of the backpack. Align the top edges of the lining and the backpack. Once everything is aligned, use pins to secure the lining in place. Then, sew a top stitch along the top edge, approximately 0.5 centimeters from the edge. The next step is adding the string channel. Begin by folding the pieces in half lengthwise. This folding action will create a crease running down the center of each piece, serving as a helpful guideline for later steps. Next, take one long edge of the string channel and fold it once more, this time folding it 1 centimeter towards the wrong side of the fabric. Fold each short edge inwards by 1 centimeter. Sew a top stitch at 0.8 centimeters from the folded edges to keep them secured. Let's attach the string channel to the backpack. Begin by placing the string channel and the backpack pieces right sides together, ensuring that the notches are matched accurately and the raw edges are aligned. Pin the string channel in place along the opening of the backpack. Following that, using a sewing machine, sew along the pinned edge with a seam allowance of 1 centimeter. This will securely attach the string channel to the backpack pieces. It's important to sew as straight as possible to achieve a clean and polished final appearance for your backpack. To complete the string channel, take the turned seam allowance of the piece and carefully pin it in place around the seam. Ensure that the seam allowance is inserted inside the string channel and that the 2 leading front edges of the channel are symmetrical and evenly aligned. Next, use a flat top stitch to secure the string channel at the seam edge. Sew along the edge of the seam, maintaining a distance of 0.1 centimeters from the edge. To complete the string channel, cut 2 pieces of string according to the measurements provided in the table. Once you have the pieces of string, carefully insert them into the string channel, ensuring they pass through the loops as well. Repeat on the other side and secure the ends with a stitch. Hide the ends into the loops. Let's shift our attention to the flap layers. First, place the first layer, felt, with the right side facing up. Then, place the second layer, fabric, right side facing up. Finally, place the third layer, fabric, on top, with the wrong side facing up. Once all 3 layers are in place, use sewing pins to secure the layers together. Place the pins along the edges of the fabric to hold everything in place. Afterwards, sew the layers together on the round edge, leaving the top edge free. Make sure to sew carefully and accurately. Once you've finished sewing, use scissors to trim the seam allowance to make it narrower. Now it's time to turn the flap inside out through the top opening. You can use your fingers or a pointed tool to carefully push the edges out and ensure they are nice and smooth. Once you have the flap turned right side out, give it a good press with an iron. This will help create crisp and defined round edges. Continue with folding the free top edges of the flap 1 centimeter inwards and top stitch at 0.1 centimeters to close the flap. This will secure the folded edges in place. For the final step, it's time to add the top snap on the flap. Refer to the marking on the pattern to determine the placement of the snap. It's important to align the snap correctly to ensure a perfect fit with the backpack stud. Follow the instructions provided with the snap kit to attach it securely to the flap. Take your time to ensure that the snap is properly aligned and firmly attached. Congratulations, your backpack is all set and good to go. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to smash that subscribe button and hit the bell icon.